All right. Good morning. Obviously, it's Mother's Day. And, we can probably come up with many adjectives to describe our mothers. And a mom wears many hats and fulfills many roles in the household, right? But today, I want to highlight some of the staple traits that define the majority of moms. Okay. Not that these terms can't be applied to those who aren't a mom, but we can attest to how they are fitting terms to define mom. The first one I want to highlight is that moms are sacrificial. Moms sacrifice for the well-being of their kids. They let go of their personal preferences so their kids can have things. Even though mom could use some new clothes, she forfeits that luxury for the sake of getting the kids new school clothes. All right. She would go without a meal if that meant, or if that there was only enough food for the kids, right? And she wouldn't think anything of it. Now, some moms even go so far as to choose to sacrifice keeping their kids, letting them go so that they can have a better life. And I guarantee it takes all they have to let their precious child go so that they can survive and have a chance at life. A lot of times you see that in foreign countries, right? If their homeland is impoverished or war-stricken and they have the opportunity, they put their kids on the boat and send them to America. That has happened a lot. And I can't imagine the pain and grief of coming to that conclusion, knowing that you will probably, most likely, never see your kids again. Now, when I think of biblical moms that have let their children go like that, I think of Moses' mother. Now, you might be familiar with the story, but there's some interesting things about her sacrifice here. Now, Pharaoh had commanded the midwives that if any Hebrew gave birth to a male, he was to be thrown into the Nile River. Now we have Moses. Moses was born after this command was given. What was his mother going to do? Well, let's pick up the story. Exodus chapter 2, starting in verse 1. Now a man of the house of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her slave girl to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" "Yes, go," she answered. And the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." And that's Moses sounds like the Hebrew for draw out. Now, according to Exodus 6:20, Moses' mother's name was Jochebed. So Jochebed knows that she couldn't hide Moses forever. I mean, think about that. Can you imagine how fearful those 3 months must have been for her? And then add on the agony of having your baby with you for 3 months and then putting him in a basket and sailing him down a river that would be littered with crocodiles. Wow. Now, I'm sure she tried to plan it for the basket to go toward the bathing area of Pharaoh's daughters, but anything could happen along the way, right? Nothing would be predictable. It was risky just to do that. She knew it was worth the risk. So she has Miriam, Moses' older sister, watch to see how things went. Sure enough, Moses lands in the hands of Pharaoh's daughter. She has pity and decides not to have him put to death, which is another chance that Jochebed would be taking, right? How did she know that Pharaoh's daughter wouldn't either say, oh, this is a Hebrew baby? You know, I know what my dad said, so she throws him into the river or brings him to her father and says, I found this Hebrew baby. What do you want to do with it? You know, so there's another risk that Jochebed was taking. But thankfully that didn't happen. And then Miriam intercedes and asks if she wanted her to go get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby, and all along knew who she was going to go get to nurse the baby. So Jochebed gets to come back into her baby's life. Now, I think this would be kind of bittersweet. You know, when Moses was born, her joy was bittersweet because of Pharaoh's decree. Now, she is in this position again, right? When Moses was born, she had him for 3 months, but knew that it couldn't stay that way. Now, again, she would be with her baby, but knew that it wouldn't stay that way. Again, right? She only would have him until he was weaned. So Jochebed, she made a double sacrifice. She released him down the river after 3 months, and then released him again to Pharaoh's daughter after 3 years. Probably 3 years. 3 years was a common duration of weaning back then. I mean, can you imagine the mental and emotional toll this would take on a mother? I mean, how much could she really enjoy the time spent with her baby, all the while knowing she was going to have to give him back and may never see him again? Knowing he would be raised as an Egyptian, the very people that had enslaved her people. I mean, how would that play out when Moses was older? How would she feel when, you know, she saw him coming? She, knowing that she couldn't interact with him as mother and son. Wow. All that sacrifice, just so her precious little baby would have a chance at life. That's sacrificial. Jochebed decided her pain, her grief, her emotional torment was worth it if it gave her baby a chance at a better life, at life period, right? And that's what moms do. Moms sacrifice a lot in order to try to secure a better life for their children. You know, they work long hours, they come home, cook, clean, take care of the house. They take the kids to practices and plays and help with homework, right? And oftentimes without so much as a thank you. But they lovingly endure it. You know, it's a struggle sometimes, maybe exhausting and tiresome, and it can be mentally and emotionally draining, but to them, it's worth it, right? And that's without any guarantee of how things are going to turn out, right? I mean, there's no guarantee that all that sacrifice is going to pay the dividend of producing the best outcome, right? But the unknown results don't diminish the heart and soul they pour into it, right? Moms are sacrificial. Okay, moms are also nurturing. Nurturing is another term used to define mom, right? To nurture, it means to care for, to look after, to raise. It also means to cultivate, cherish, develop, support, and encourage. Moms, they nurture by nature, right? It's instilled in them to be a nurturer. And I think that's one reason why you see fathers abandon their families much more often than moms do, right? You see a lot more single moms than you do single dads. Because I think overall moms don't have it in them to just walk away from their kids, to just abandon their kids. They wouldn't think of detaching from their need to care for and look after their children unless they were doing what I just talked about in the case of Moses and his mother, or those who let go of their kids so that they could have a better life. That's self-sacrificing, not selfish. That's because moms aren't wired like that. In fact, they start nurturing as soon as they learn they're pregnant, right? They change their diet. They might stop smoking and drinking, or they'll take their vitamins, right? They get regular checkups, all that stuff. Well, actually, a mother's nurturing instincts kick in way before then. Think about it. When you're little girls, you're playing with your dolls. You're imagining being a mother then, right? You get a little older and you're babysitting, or maybe you're having to take care of your younger siblings. And then that, the caretaking and nurturing skills are established. Because guess what? You don't see too many male babysitters, do you? Guys aren't really very interested in doing that. I know I wasn't. I wasn't too thrilled the few times I had to watch my brother. Now, that's not to say that dads aren't nurturing. I think I'm that way towards Sean. But moms, they're hardwired by God to naturally be this way, right? Well, speaking of God, that's one of the ways we should view, view God as a nurturer. Now, it might seem a little weird to view our Heavenly Father with this motherly quality, but it's true. I mean, since God's the one who instilled these traits into the mother, it makes sense that he would possess them himself, right? I mean, think about the numerous ways and the numerous times we've seen God take care of us and look after us, right? The psalmists, they would ask, what is man that you are mindful of him? What is man that you care